Hey guys, this is Dave. I needed to make this video immediately because of the news that I just found out. And that is that Crucible Industries may be going out of business. I don't know if it's permanent, but if you look online, you will see that there are articles stating that the plant in upstate New York, which was not far from where I used to live. I used to live in New York, not anymore. That state is in complete disarray. But besides the point, Crucible Industries, located outside of Syracuse or within the Syracuse area. And I gotta say, this is wild. The first thought that came to mind was, well, let me tell you my first thought after. I will say this is very unfortunate to hear about for a couple of reasons, and I want to get into this. One, the amount of jobs that are going to be lost. It's going to be like 160 jobs or something like that. This company has been around for a very long time, well over 100 years. Back in 1870, I believe it was known as Sweet Iron Works. So very interesting. It's had its history in upstate New York for a long time. And side note, for all of those for all of those who have not been to upstate New York, I'd recommend going because it is some of the most beautiful countryside you'll see in the United States, period. Don't just go to the city. It gives the rest of the state a bad name. Anyway, almost 160 workers who are going to lose their jobs. You know what, the first thought and that's terrible. I really hope that doesn't happen. But, man, if it does, that's pretty unfortunate. I hope those people can find new jobs, better ones, or maybe even move out of state if they can afford to move their families into a more profitable state, a state that the economy is not failing. And, New York State is completely in dire straits. The leadership, the politics, it's terrible there. It doesn't entirely surprise me that they could be going out of business or filing for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which, according to a worker who used to work there, he wound up leaving, I think prior to even 2009 or somewhere around there. They filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy back then. Now, I hope I can remember all my points. This was just a video off the top of my head. A video that I wanted to record right off the top of my head, and I wanted to share it with everyone. So, let's say this. First of all, like I said, the politics, the leadership in New York State is abysmal. They tax the heck out of you. They don't want conservatives in New York State. They don't want Christians in New York State. And they've rightfully said so between the former Governor Cuomo and current Governor Hochul, who are both wretched individuals. Conservative Christians keep that state going, despite what the liberals might think. But besides the point, I have to say that with this news, like I said, it doesn't entirely surprise me based on what the politics have done to this state. It's bankrupt the state. And there's so many other issues that can be spoken of. I lived there most of my life, and I love it, but I couldn't stay any longer. Anyway, it doesn't surprise me with all the high taxes and all the policies and the red tape and this, that, and the third. It's it's not entirely surprising that this plant could be closing, because I read that they're like $700,000 in debt, which it's a lot of money, but it's not as much as you hear some of these larger companies, millions and millions of dollars in debt, but still a lot of money to be in debt. And I think I read that the plant itself is worth like $8.5 million. So could they restructure potentially? Could they get a bailout? I don't know. I wouldn't be in favor of that, but that's another topic. Not that I wouldn't want to save jobs. I just don't believe in taxpayer dollars going to bail out a company who's not going to return those taxpayer dollars in the end. For those of us who are working hard and providing for our families and trying to make a living and better ourselves in life, we shouldn't have to bail out companies who don't give us that return, which is why I don't support Chevy or Dodge and probably never will. I give kudos to Ford for not taking the money from the government during the 2008 bailout. We never saw that money again. Tell me, who has seen a refund from GM or Datsun? No, excuse me, I misspoke. Sorry. From Dodge, from Chrysler. It's now owns the majority, 80% of it's owned by that company, Fiat. So who has seen that return? I haven't. And I'm not in favor of that whatsoever. It has nothing to do with the employees. It has nothing to do with the American products themselves. I love to support American. It's the principle. And if you can use logic and reasoning, you could see that. You can research it for yourself, though. Now, what does this mean for the steel industry? Well, let's hypothetically say they go out of business. Let's say that Crucible closes their doors in March, which is what I'm hearing may happen from the research that I did. Could another company come in and purchase them? Sure, that's possible. And then they can continue to make steel, hopefully, and produce it, mine it, the whole nine. The smeltering, the entire processes. Another company could come in and buy it. Like I said, could it be another steel company, say like Bowler? Could it be Hitachi? Could it be Latrobe? Could it be, trying to think of the other one, Carpenter? Although I think Carpenter, I read somewhere, was not going to be producing much steel anymore. So I just wonder. I mean, America is a huge, huge steel manufacturer. I mean, the amount of ore, like the iron ore that we mine, and other countries pay us to mine it. Fun fact, as wonderful as Japanese steels are, and they are very good, where do they get their ore from? They don't mine it in Japan. They don't have those natural resources. They get it from us in America. So, food for thought for any of those who were not aware of that, or maybe were too ignorant to be aware. I will say that we do produce, and it's not just knife steels, it's tons of steels throughout the car manufacturing industry. So many different things we produce steel for. And companies buy it from us. China buys it from us, among other things. I just wonder, if they were to close their doors, would that mean we wouldn't have Magna Cut stainless steel? Would we not have CPM 20CV? Would that mean that CPM S90V ceased to exist, and Rex 45 and Crewware and you name it? I mean, there are so many steels that have come out of Crucible, so many amazing steels. would would the would the steel would the recipes, for lack of a better term, disappear entirely? Would they become relics? You know, would they become obsolete's not the right word. Relic is. But I wonder, does that mean that we should hold on to these knives, that have these steels that are made by Crucible? Will the value go up? I'll be honest, I was thinking of selling one or two more of my knives, and ever since I just heard this news, I'm a little hesitant because, well, not that I could never get them again, but some of the variations that I have, no, I don't think I could. It would be very, very difficult to track down. But, you know, it's just something that rolled around my brain. Does that mean that MagnaCut, like let's just say MagnaCut and all the other steels, they just decided to stop making because the company went out of business, or they couldn't, and maybe a different company didn't come up and purchase them? Would there still be another company to duplicate or replicate it? Could they get the patent rights? I mean, there's so many different factors to consider. But let's just say for the sake of saying that they went out of business, similar to the way AMC, American Motor Company, went out of business, right? That was it. That was the end. They shut their doors and they have never opened again. So those cars are going to be worth more because they're more desirable. Maybe some models, but it's like anything that goes out of business, anything that's discontinued. You guys know with the knives, if they're discontinued, if they're highly sought after, or maybe they're not highly sought after, but then there's a following afterwards, so they do become highly sought after. It's all supply and demand. We know this. I don't know, it just makes me think, and maybe I should just wait and see what happens. It's still yet to be determined. Something I thought of, what if hypothetically Bowler decided to say, hey, let's capitalize on this. Now, German company, or actually I think it's Udelholm, no, Bowler Udelholm, that's right. Bowler bought Udelholm, which was a Swedish company, if I'm not mistaken. And let's just say Bowler said, let's capitalize on this. Could they keep the plant open? Sure. Would they continue to have the company under the Bowler name but still produce the American steels that are so well known and highly regarded? Yeah, sure, that's a possibility. It's all very fresh, very new. It's yet to be determined. We don't know. But I will say that it's pretty surprising. You know, as much as people might think that our economy in America is doing great, they are sadly mistaken. Some states are doing better than others. Absolutely. That's 100% true. But it's not great with the forced inflation and just the way that things have gone over the years. The forced inflation is one of the biggest things. Pay cuts and not being able to afford to pay people because everyone wants to make $20 an hour flipping burgers. Like, get a life, dude. You need to start from the bottom like everyone else. I started at minimum wage when I started working at my first job many years ago, and I worked my way up, and that's the way it is. You want something, you go after it, you earn it. It's not given to you, so stop that entitlement garbage. Sick of that. I know this is a little bit of a rant video along with the knife video in the knife industry, but I just have to share the reality of it, guys. If you don't like it, go watch something else. I really don't have time for nonsense. So, like I said, what's going to happen? We don't know. It's still all up in the air. Time will tell. Hopefully something can be worked out where they could still stay open. I don't know. But that's very unfortunate. It's a lot of jobs to lose. It's a lot for the economy, especially the local economy in New York. But, man, I mean, unless they could move to a different state where taxes are much less, there's so many companies and there's so many businesses that were in New York for years and they just decided to move to Tennessee or Alabama or South Carolina, what have you, you know. So, yeah, we will see. It is pretty shocking. The other thing I think of though, let's say that the company went out of business and they wouldn't make these steels anymore. Let's just picture that, right? Just like the car industry with American Motors. That's never good for any industry, and I'll tell you why. Because of the fact that less competition means the few that are out there can produce whatever they want, and it could be garbage quality, but they'll still charge a premium for it because they have nobody to compete with. Just picture Honda, right? Great car company, very reliable, relatively relatively inexpensive to fix, repair, buy. But picture that they are the only car company in the entire world. And there's no Chevy, there's no Toyota, there's no Ford, there's no Maserati. I'm just going to throw big names in there too. There's no, Lamborghini, there's no McLaren, there's no Suzuki, there's no Dodge, there's none of these companies. No Nissan, nothing. None of these companies. And Honda, as reliable as we know that they are known for, could turn around and they'll just produce whatever they choose to produce, whether it's quality or not, and most likely, no, they would cheapen out on quality. That's just the way it works. Competition is a great thing for the economy. It boosts the economy. It challenges people to do better. It challenges engineers and workers of all kinds, CEOs, to say what's the best quality product that we can produce that's better than the competition. And that's a great thing for the economy, especially capitalism that we have here in America. It's wonderful. But as soon as companies start dying out or the competition gets gobbled up, there's less and less. There's no incentive then for anyone to do better. They can just create the base mediocre product. And if it lasts, great. If not, it doesn't. And they could charge a slew of money for it, an absolute premium. So think of that, if it hasn't already popped into your head, because it's true. So I'm trying to think if there's any other topic or point that I missed on this during this discussion. So I think I got a lot. Like I said, will the price of some of these steels go up if they're going to stop making them all together, or if the company goes out of business? That's a very good possibility. Even your cheapest knife might go for a lot of money if it's sold on the secondary, especially if they stop making it. But it's mind-boggling to me to think about, due to the fact that there's so many companies that rely on these steels, whether it's Spyderco or Benchmade or custom makers, it doesn't matter. So many people buy steels from this company. Why? Because they're quality. They've been proven. They've been tested. And they're always innovating for something new. So this would be wildly shocking, especially as, knife users as we are, right? Guys, think about it. Like, that can you just imagine, a year from now, 2 years from now, that these steels and knives became so sought after because they weren't making them anymore? I mean, just picture that. That's not a good thought. No, not for anyone. Not for the economy, not for us who are just enthusiasts and like having knives, and even those of us too, most of us enthusiasts too, are users, and we enjoy knives because we use them and we like different aspects of them. And there's all different tastes and preferences. I mean, I just, I don't know. Would other knife companies then, like the ones that I mentioned, whether Benchmade, Spyderco, CRKT, Hogue, you name it, would they just be buying other steels that they could get? Because you think about it. Think of the knife industry. Think of how many different steels that are out there. Dozens, probably hundreds. There's so many that are American-made steels. Yes, there are some that are, German and Japanese, and obviously the Chinese, but that's crap steel. But regardless, can you just imagine going on Blade HQ or some other website or going into a store, and now all they have to offer in knives is, I know some of you would be happy to hear this because you wouldn't care, but M390, right? Very, very, very good steel, overbloated, but talked about ad nauseum. But can you just imagine? All you see is M390, 8CR13 MOV for the cheap steels, and then you see just some LMAX and 14C28N, and then you see, I'm trying to think of, K390 is, it'd be great to see more of, but you didn't, what if you didn't see any of the others? What if that's all you saw? Just those, with a few exceptions. Except for the Chinese 18 or 813, 8CR13 MOV. Outside of that one, the other steels that I mentioned a moment ago are very good, especially if they're heat treated properly. But imagine if there were no other steels like 52100, and there was no Magna Cut, and there was no Rex 45, and there was no, S110V, or even, for those who do really like 154 CM and CPM 154 and CPM D2, or just regular old American D2. Just think about that. Like, that's crazy to think on, Then, like I said, those other companies could just do what they want if they decided not to. If they decided not to buy the American company of Crucible and keep it going, they could just let it die and then do what they want in the industry and capitalize on that, Anyway, I think that was everything that I had to share, but just had to bring this up today, guys. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If there's something I've missed or something I've overlooked, feel free to share. I'd be curious just to have some back and forth conversation about it. But, yeah, I think that's everything. Anyway, hope you guys have a good evening, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Oh, and by the way, if I do not make another video prior, Merry Christmas to all, and Happy New Year.